We're here at Marcolina's with Ratso Carrico?
Carrico.
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 Yes, and this is the one with the Nacho Libre mask on. This is some of his art. Before we get started though, I would like everyone to go to marcolinas.com and order some t-shirts. I have shirts on there. Other artists in this, Marcolinas has quite a good collection of art there on shirts. They look really good. I saw one the other night over at the Reds Report. And that's all the commercials we're going to do. So we have Ratso here, who is from parts unknown.
I'm from rural Florida.
Rural Florida. Okay, tell us about your art a little bit. What I know you do the wooden pieces, but how did you start in art? What's the first thing you did in art?
Well, I've been drawing since I was a child.
Okay.
My mother was artistic. I was artistic as a child. I used to just draw nonstop all day long. My parents actually used to give me paper for Christmas. I would just go through it like Kleenex. And in a little while, I'll show you some drawings. But these, I started when I had kind of not done anything for quite a while. First, I'd say I kind of feel like an imposter because I really don't make these anymore. I do something else now. But I had a period for about 10, 12 years where I was very prolific and made a lot of this type of art. And it's made out of scrap wood. It's all rejected wood, found objects, rejected house paint. Most will say 90%. Maybe some real paint here and there, but most of it's junk. It's all made out of junk. So, and I'm mainly a cartoonist. As you can kind of tell, everything I make is kind of exaggerated. Mm-hmm. So does that answer your question to some degree?
Yeah, it does. But you say this is not the only art you do. What else do you do?
Well, I said when I was a kid, I drew all the time. For a little while, I did tattoos, but for a short period of time. And I was never a big deal now. I'm old. And when I did tattoos, tattoo shops were different. It was all flash. I did flash. I did Eagles and Black Panthers. I was never a big deal in the tattoo world.
That's
I did
when
a lot of drawings of other
that's
people.
That's when the bikers ran all the tattoo shops.
You could not have a tattoo shop without being sanctioned by the local biker gang. They would harass you until you gave them what they wanted. You had to pay them and get permission and do some free tattooing. Is what you had to do. But for us, we were in South Florida, the Outlaws. Right. But I know it's not like that now. People just have to get a license and you can have a haircut shop.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still boundaries put up for different types of things.
I've talked to some tattoo artists.
So how long have
you? When I tell them we used to put up with that.
So Ratso, how long have you been doing or seeing art in Ybor City?
Oh, probably for about I would say about 20 years.
So what changes have you seen in the art scene here?
Oh gosh, well when I got into it, that's really when I met you. Because you actually know me for probably close to 20 years, I would bet.
I don't know who you are.
Well, I saw a thing about Stone Soup closing. They said 13 years, right? Mm-hmm. Did they mean that location or?
I don't know.
But we've known each other long before Stone Soup.
I don't know you. You're an unknown person.
I'm just going to do a disclaimer right now. Greg knows me. I'm not a crazy person that goes around like this all the time. I'm a normal functioning person in reality. I'm a kind, reasonable person. I only do this because I get social anxiety really bad and I hate being photographed. And this is something I do sometimes because it makes me feel better. And I also want to do a disclaimer. I usually, if I'm doing this, I'm engaged in something that I'm uncomfortable with, I'm probably drinking. And if you've ever encountered me doing this and I've ever upset you or offended you or in any way, I apologize. And I'm not being sarcastic.
I don't apologize.
I'm not. I just want to say this.
If I'm offended
you
deserved it, bro.
Because it's not what I set out to do. It's something I do for fun, and it makes me feel better. But if you've ever had a negative experience with me doing this, it's not what it's not representative of who I am. I'm a real person, and Greg knows me. And in my real life, I make no attempt to conceal who I am. This is just something I do when I'm under stress, like being filmed.
Well, if you're in real life, you couldn't conceal it. You wouldn't be wearing.
Yeah, I wouldn't do this to draw more attention to me most of the time.
Well, let's get back to the art.
Yeah. Okay.
So you say you're a cartoonist, but some of these are more like this right here. The flesh color. This is almost they have an eerie tone to them too, don't they?
Yeah.
Is that purpose?
Well, yeah. I guess I'm almost kind of cartoonish, but it's always kind of dark a little bit, I would say. And some of my stuff in the peak of when I was doing this, I really got to think I was doing completely abstract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those.
We don't really have a good example of
Even though I don't know you.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying I've known Greg as a person. Greg knows who I am, and many people do. I have a driver's license. I've been photographed. I just, in most situations, I don't like it.
All right.
This helps.
So a lot of tentacles, why do you think that is?
Oh, if you'll see, well, you know what, you want to look at some of my old drawings?
Sure, yeah.
Because everything I do,
that's
really
what we're
is
here
always,
for.
Everything's always kind of you'll recognize when you see my old drawings. I don't know what they are, because I got these out of a tube the other day. But you notice my stuff is always kind of got like a flow.
You used to draw with me in my studio up here, even though I don't know who you are.
So these drawings, like I said, when I was probably from about age to about 13 to about 25, I probably did about 1 to 3 drawings a day.
Let's stop right here. Have you had any formal education in art?
I have an associate's degree in advertising design, which I've never used.
Did you study at any school art anywhere?
When I was at a particular college studying psychology, I studied art there for all my electives. I did a bunch of welding when I was there. I was
no drama classes or painting?
No, by that time I was really focused on something else, academically. But I've always been interested in art. So when I was focusing, I'm way overeducated. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I have a master's degree in communication disorders. I have an associate's degree in advertising design and stuff, But at that time, it was worked out well. I could go over to the art department and weld. I got all my electives taken care of that way. By welding.
I'm not allowed around anything with explosive by law. Okay.
Anyway, let's look at some drawings. Okay. There's one, and I don't even remember making those. So this one's clearly a tattoo design. And actually it's on paper. It looks like it was designed to be transferred. We used to do these drawings.
They look oriental.
Yeah.
They look Asian.
That's out of some kind of baboon, kind of abstract.
Yeah.
But this one you can tell it's on some type of paper where we were going to transfer this to be a tattoo.
This
I
was
can tell this was
actually
going to be a chess piece.
Now, wasn't this actually a wooden piece, this one?
It resembles, I've made many pieces of like beast lunging forward like that. You've probably seen pieces of mine that remind me of
If you're interested in any of these, contact Marcolina.
that. And as I should say, let's give a shout out to Marcolina and ask permission. I'm here because I want to get rid of this stuff. I have a house full of this stuff. I've moved on and doing different things now.
Well,
but Marcolina has my permission to handle my stuff and sell it for whatever she wants. And we should do a shout out to Blake, because that's where I met Greg a long time ago. Blake was inhabiting a cigar factory near here, and that's where we met. And you were actually at a period where you were being very prolific. We were in a cigar factory, and we both produced a lot of art in that place. And Blake was gone for a while. Blake was a big mover and creator.
We've interviewed Blake here already.
Okay, I'm just going to say he creates a lot of situations for people like me.
Yeah,
Like
me too.
Here's, I don't even remember, it's obviously some kind of abstract thing with human bodies. That looks like something I would do, doesn't it?
That's nice. I've never seen these drawings.
I say I only, really do it. It's never been about money or anything, but I love just the process of making stuff. I get off on just like being in a trance like state when I'm being creative, How many more of these you want to look at? Come on. Okay. I said I found about 8 tubes.
The more I see them, the more I have to talk to you.
This is when I was making comic strips.
Yeah.
This is something from a comic strip I was drawing. I think this is, I have this character, Joe Croak, who was a toad troll who sat around, smoked cigars, and drank beer, and hit on nymphs all the time. It was loosely based on myself.
Hit on what?
Nymphs. It was all about this, it was all about...
Nymphs really exist?
No. It was a comic strip about a fairyland, and it was kind of adult humor in fairyland. And this one character, Joe Croak, he was a toad troll. He's basically a big bullfrog that sits around in like his underwear, smoking cigars and drinking beer all the time.
Well, maybe we'll put it in the back of one of my books.
Oh, no, this is a frost giant. I did this when I was taking a class about world religions. I did a whole paper about Norse mythology. Here's a frost giant. Want to keep going? You have enough.
We'll do one more.
Okay.
So, also, so you're admittingly that you've been around here for a long time. You actually had a show at a museum, did you not? The Pulp Museum? Didn't you have something
I don't
on there?
remember that. I used to be in a bunch of shows. I don't remember that, frankly. I don't come down here and do a bunch of stuff anymore. I used to be down here, and I was real active probably about 10 years ago.
We had the store over there.
Some
Right?
type of Medusa female thing there. I don't know. A lot of stuff's a lot of mythology-based stuff.
Well, yeah, I can
mythology.
see now why you're saying you're basically a cartoonist.
I am. Look at it. It doesn't make any attempt to look real. It's very
Beautiful.
Could be a
Well, let me tell you
decal
what
or something like
this,
that.
you can do this and take the color out. You'll have coloring books. You can have your own coloring book with this. Contact Marco.
Oh, this is a good one. I love all the weird gods that like Hindi mythology has. Here's like I think they call it a kami. It's one of those demons that loves to destroy things. Imagine I have the patience to do that. I don't have the patience to do that anymore. That's enough, probably, right?
Right. So, what do you, when you do art, what do you want to get out of it? I know you belittle your art because you will say you got a bunch of shit around the back you want to get rid of, basically, that's what you're saying. Even though your art, people see it, they really like it.
At one point, I sold a bunch. I have sold probably about 200 pieces. Now, when I sell,
Now, let me tell a
some
story.
for very little money.
Let me tell a story about when Ratso, let me correct myself. When Ratso sold a piece at 40 days to closing, the guy had already bought the piece, was going out the door, and Ratso came out and went up to him and said, I need to give you some money back. You remember that?
Probably. Probably.
The guy goes, no,
I have
that's
talked
okay.
people. I have unintentionally talked people out of buying.
Yeah, he has. I've seen him do that.
I know. It's terrible. That's
My
why.
my
Talk to
favorite.
Marcolina. You want to buy one of my pieces? Talk to Marcolina. Don't talk to me. Talk to Marcolina. I guarantee she's a better salesperson than this person here.
One of my favorite art shows that you were in is when the lady stood in front of your art the whole show.
Oh yeah. If only Ratso had been there at that time. Can you imagine what Ratso would have done?
Oh, he'd have clubbed her, probably.
Oh yeah. That's the contrast. I wasn't Ratso that night, and I sat there. I traveled for that show.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. This lady and I was too polite to tell her, would you just
No.
stand 4 or 5
And he
feet
wouldn't
away?"
let me tell her.
I sat there and just steamed, pushed it down all night.
He doesn't think I'm polite all the time.
I brooded about it.
But everyone knows I'm very polite. Okay, so you've shown a lot with Blake, as you said earlier. You've shown a lot with me. Any artists around here that you were influenced by? Anybody you could name that you would say was a big influence in your career?
You know, the people I was influenced by are probably not people around me. I'm such an introvert, you know. When I was young, to be honest, there was this wood cutter. I used to read a lot of books about demonology and stuff. Dürer. Dürer was this guy that made a lot of religious, like wood prints. I liked him. Of course, I read all those. I'm very influenced by comic books. You know, eerie, creepy, Vampirella.
We both have that in common.
Man, I used to read those things all the time. You know.
I
They
still
were
do.
like dirty magazines for little
I still
kids.
do.
Vampirella, even Monsters had a lot of
The
flesh.
new
in it,
Vampirella
right?
comic book, go get
Oh
it.
my
It's
God.
really good.
Heavy metal, I used to have a subscription to heavy metal. I was a kid, like every, you know.
I just bought the new Vampirella.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I would say I've always been interested in religious history. So mythology from all different cultures I find very interesting. A lot of people actually, I don't know if they do this, but a lot of people tell me my stuff looks kind of pre-Columbian, like South American
Now,
art, you know. This one, I guess, some people have mentioned, but I guess the way I do faces sometimes kind of like the way they do panthers and bats.
but you have been to South America.
Oh yeah, I've been to South.
Where in South America?
I've been to Mexico 2 or 3 times, and I've been to Peru 3 times.
Machu Picchu.
I've been to Machu Picchu. I've seen the sand drawings. What's it called? Cusco? Is that it? Cusco? No, Cusco's the city. It means the bell button of the world. Where is it where they have the drawings? I can't remember. But then also in Peru, there's a desert.
So
If you go up
wouldn't you
Mount
think
Everest,
that that's these are a combination of Peruvian art, cartoons,
I don't know. To be honest, most like this is obviously, it's a Minotaur. It's from Greek mythology.
Greek mythology?
This one's
But it still
Hindi.
has, but this still, even though it's Greek mythology, it has some Aztec,
My style is
Yeah.
kind of with all those little squares and the cutting off. It does kind of look. My favorite South American, I love the Mayans. I think the Mayans are the best. You know, Incas and Aztecs are pretty good, but the Mayans, their whole culture was really about fashion. They were obsessed with the design and stuff. Their language, just the way they wrote their language, was very intricate. Like each person that wrote the language, it was like being an artist. And only a few scribes in the tribe existed at a time, and each scribe had their own style. Even though I'm going to go on and talk about Mayan. Hieroglyphics.
well, no, but we're
It's
back.
interesting.
We're back to the point that it definitely has influenced you because you've read about it, you've seen it, you've been there. You still have your comic flinch. That's why it's very eye candy for a lot of people because they see that, they recognize it on the subconscious level and a conscious level.
Cartoons, to be honest, I believe in this. There's research to support this. Cartoons, people are drawn to them so much because they are a distillation, they're a rarefication of the most important features of a thing. And so that you recognize it immediately. They take like the 3 or 4 most recognizable features of something and bring it to the forefront.
And your mind's always wanting to recognize something.
That's how
it's
the
going to
brain
make a
works.
simile of something. So you, and that's what's good about some abstract art. People, there's a lot of people who do horrible abstract art, but if you know what you're doing, that's one aspect of it. That's what, you know. So where do you want to go with your art? What do you want to do now?
Man, like I said, I care nothing about fame or money or anything like that. And I don't even make this stuff anymore. I play musical instruments all the time now. And I was a better sculptor than I am a musician, but that's just the way I am. I have to go, I get into things, and I have to go that direction.
You become obsessed.
I become obsessed with things.
That's another thing we have in problem.
You know, and I did this for a while. I felt like I had done everything I wanted to do, and it got to be like I was not enjoying it. There was a brief intermission. I bought a bass guitar on a whim.
I remember
It
that.
became my obsession. You remember that? I couldn't talk about anything
We used to
else.
jam
I
up
was
at
totally
the
hooked on it. That's right. And we were in a band called Nut Punch.
Nut Punch.
Yeah.
That's right.
And,
So who was the other guy in Nut Punch? He was an
we
artist.
could never get a guitarist to stay with us.
No,
We
the
had 3
guy that
different-
videotaped us up there that was in it.
Oh, I don't know if we want to mention him here.
Yeah, you can mention his name.
Vince Crawl played guitar for us 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And you and me got in a fight.
There's people out there who know who he is.
And we had
And we would like to hear from you, Vince, if you do see this video.
that big guy that used to
Marcolinas.
work with you. He played guitar for us one time.
Who's that?
The big, good-looking young guy that played guitar for us once. He was a security guard you worked with.
Oh, yeah, now he grows gardens for people
Yeah.
somewhere.
But,
What was his name? He had a-
Vince was a better guitar player. Vince, I wish he'd stayed with us. I don't know what
Then
he's
you
doing.
have played with a guy who played guitar that doesn't have a hand. Remember that?
I still play with him all the time. As much
And
as
that
I
I would love to see that guy play.
He's missing his
something.
left hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want. I shouldn't say his name because he doesn't know I'm doing this, so I don't know if he wants to. But yeah.
Well, don't say his name, but I'm just saying that's amazing.
I call him the Candy Man. That's
And it sounds good, right?
yeah, he can do everything except this stuff. He plays it like a left-handed guitar, and he has a way of adhering a pick to his stump, and he just plays it like a left-handed guitar, and he can do everything except finger picking like this.
Yeah. All right.
But
Now let's get back to art. Did you know Theo Luchek when he was here? Did you meet him a couple of times?
I bumped into him. He did not know me. He was still alive when I was doing shows down here, and we have probably done maybe 4 or 5 shows.
We did a show
together.
with him with Blake at the place over there.
And I actually know when I was, I went to college here in Tampa, and Theo Wojcik at that time was doing something at that college. And actually, I'm sure he would not have remembered me, but he was actually super nice to me, helping me figure out how to use some of the tools in the workshop, because he used to actually be in the workshop over there at USF frequently. But I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't have remembered me. Of many people, he helped many people over there, So.
Yeah, because Ybor has just been mentioned in Money Magazine, I believe, as the cultural center of Tampa. I believe that to be true. You know.
Yeah.
Anything you want to talk about with art? Anything going on in art right now that you're enjoying?
Not really.
Now you were let's get back to the Ratso.
Leave my fucking house.
Let's go.
Oh, sorry.
Let's go back to the Ratso. So you were playing at open mic nights. Tell us the experience from that.
Oh my gosh.
This is a good
You're
story.
in trouble now.
Go ahead.
I play a lot of musical instruments. I have situations now where I get to play with people I'm comfortable with, so it's not an issue. But I needed to try. I'm always trying to push and advance myself. I get obsessed with things I always want. And so I thought I'll try an open mic, And I found a very small open mic, situation, and I agonized about it, but I did this because I can't go in a situation and stand in front of people. I will freak out. I will have a meltdown. Okay? And it sounds silly, but I just know myself. There's a good chance things are going to go south. If I go and
Now, while you're
stand in
doing
front of
this
people
music,
and anybody starts to mess with me, and I will get real emotional and it will get out of hand. So this gives me.
he and I get out of hand together a lot at each other, so I can imagine.
But anyway, cut me right off.
You
It was not a terrible experience. Some people there were some people there that made it unpleasant, and I guess they felt threatened by this guy or something.
But
I don't know.
now
Wasn't my intention.
I caught your act. Eric that was up there with us, he caught your act. Eric O'D. And we saw you across the street here.
Yeah.
You perform one time.
I think I upset that crowd as well.
Well, no, but here's the thing about your performance is you're playing the bass. What are you playing?
I just did poetry at the one you saw.
Now, hold on. So you're playing. Now picture this. He's wearing this mask. He's playing the bass. What are you playing?
Pretty much all Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath.
About
And you're
12
reciting
minute Black Sabbath
and he's reciting poetry.
Yeah.
Like, what was the one you did that about that night? It was very dark. It was very.
They're poor. I don't get up and say I need to write poetry at any time. I write poetry when I feel like I need to write poetry.
Obviously,
And
while
usually
you're
I'm
in
in
a
a
dark
bad
mood,
place
you
when I
write
write
poetry. But anyway, he was up there playing the bass, wearing a mask, and singing and reciting his poetry. It was something about death or something. I can't remember.
No, I wasn't playing bass at the one you saw. I was just doing poetry.
Oh, yeah.
They wouldn't let me play my harmonica.
Yeah, and
I
they
got real
refused to let
sarcastic
him play
about
that.
it.
Imagine that.
And people were like, "Oh my God, he's gonna."
So anyway, he's got the mask on, he starts reciting his poetry. He sits down, and everybody's quiet, just looking at him, watching him go back to his seat. I heard somebody whisper, "I think he's a serial killer."
I'm not a serial killer.
Of course you're not. I wouldn't let you hang out with
When
him.
I'm wearing this and I've had a couple drinks, I might be a little more apt to respond when I feel disrespected with some sarcasm.
Yeah.
I'm not like that day to day, but this guy will do it. He has no problems. I have to deal with the consequences of what this person does.
So
anyway, whatever.
Is there anything else you want to say about art?
That's probably pretty good, I think.
We really appreciate you being here. Don't forget markalinas.com.
Unique
T-shirts.
gifts for unique people. Come on down.
Yeah,
Real art.
our
Local artist.
The next thing coming up, make sure you look at markalina.com so you know what's coming up. Join the YouTube station. Also, be a member of Markalina's. Yeah. You good? Now, before we go.
Oh, right. No, he used to put these on when we were nut pudge. He used to wear one of these too. Right?
Yeah, this one right here. Let's go.
All right. No,
contact markalina.com soon.
There we go.